the One Piece Secrets of the Seas Trivia Challenge.
Hey everybody, I'm Luffy, the captain of the merry-go. And what would a captain be without his lucky hat? So why don't you try stretching your noggin round this one?
Who gave Luffy his lucky straw hat? Was it Usopp, Shanks, or Sonic?
Here's a hint. It was his gum-gum fruit that I ate.
Stay tuned for the answer to the One Piece Secrets of the Seas trivia question after these messages.
Hello, welcome to the Anicafe podcast, episode 2, the One Piece edition. I have a special co-host with me today. He specializes in One Piece and everything dealing with that franchise as a whole, and hopefully we can get him on a Reverie stream later on in the upcoming months. My co-host today is none other than KaioKnuckles. You want to introduce yourself to the audience and tell them what you do on YouTube?
Yeah, hello, my name's KaioKnuckles. I go by the name Kaio. I do One Piece content, as he said. I mainly focus on how strong would his character be after this arc, which I've just recently done a couple of videos on. I've got one coming out later today, which is also cool. It's to do with Zoro, and I mainly ever do stuff like, I used to do manga chapter reviews, kind of stopped that now, but I've gone into sort of the gaming side as well, so I'll be doing some Pirate Warriors 4 content, which will be cool. So most likely probably going to do a review on that. But yeah,
And for everyone watching at home who is watching this first episode, these episodes of the Anicafe podcast will have their own individual episodes. So for the first topic being One Piece Pirate Warriors will be part 1, and each topic that we have for the show notes will have their own individual videos and will be uploaded during their scheduled time, probably bi-weekly basis, since it'll be a lot easier to edit and, render all that type of stuff. So without further ado, let's get into the first topic, which will be the One Piece Pirate Warriors series, being the timeline and the history that we have with it as a whole, since as the time of this recording, One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 has come out. And just to make sure that our audio is working just fine, Kaio, have you played the 4th game or the newest one in the series so far?
Yeah, I have it, and I've only played like the tutorial in the first part. Usually I probably would have done it by now, but where I'm like, I was thinking about doing recordings on it, that might actually change. I might just do a review on it, because there are some other videos that I need to do which are going to have to take priority over this, unfortunately, but I will still do a review on it. But other than that, so far I'm actually liking the gameplay. I've played with most of the characters that I have that are already unlocked, so like the Goma 66, who are pretty much overpowered. Reiju's good to use, but she isn't as strong as the other 3. Sanji's pretty cool, especially using these as Sober Mask. Seeing the difference between all the new attacks, how much faster they are as well. Luffy's a hell of a lot faster, especially when he plays for quite some time, and you could do a lot of damage for that. I mean, it was just against Kaido during the tutorial, but I can't actually wait to use that. So yeah, overall the gameplay is a lot better. It's a shame that the arcs are a bit shorter. I mean, there's only like 4 or 5 arcs. I think it starts off like Alabasta, then it'll go to Eni's Lobby, then Sabayodi, Marineford, Dressrosa, Whole Cake, and Wano. So I'm quite surprised. I thought they would a lot more. So I thought they probably would have incorporated a lot more, considering it's been quite a few years since we actually got the last release, which was Pirate Warriors 3, which I did thoroughly enjoy. But to be fair, I think this one's better gameplay, but I guess I'm just a little bit disappointed with the actual story arcs. Other than that, I think I'll still enjoy it, because it is One Piece after all, and I don't actually mind the old dynasties like War. Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts. What about?
Speaking of, my thoughts, and I was gonna say, for your country, you guys actually got the collector's edition, which is the Kaido figure, which us in the US didn't get because Bandai Namco was too busy promoting Dragon Ball Z Kakarot instead of One Piece Pirate Warriors. But it's okay, we're gonna let that slide, Bandai. We're gonna let that one slide. So for me in particular, going to One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 first, I'm actually at the 10-hour mark. I've just got to Whole Cake Island, and to be honest with you, the game didn't really start to pick up or to become fun until I got to Dressrosa, actually. Like you said, it goes to Crocodile, to CP9, all the way up, to Wano, and I actually thought the game didn't pick up until Dressrosa, which I thought was really weird for me, because for me personally, I think Dressrosa, I don't hate the arc, but it's not like a personal favorite of mine. But I think what really set up for it being my favorite was the new cutscenes character gameplays being refunctioned, like Sabo, a little bit of Law, which I'm disappointed because he controlled really well in the second game, and stuff of that nature. So I'm really enjoying it, but I feel like since that I'm now at Whole Cake, I feel like that the game is about to end when it's just now starting to get good, which is kind of disappointing. But at least they didn't kind of drag everything out like they did in Pirate Warriors 3, because in the third installment, Dressrosa was like the main special arc, like where everything new gameplay cutscene wise will start to develop. But you go through so many arcs, and when you get to Dressrosa, you kind of just want the game to be done at that point. So it's definitely a new direction for the Warriors series, just because I'm so used to playing each and every arc that them focusing on the main ones for like the One Piece series is definitely interesting for me. But oh, you can go ahead. I got you.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, I think out of all the games, I actually like the second bit as well, even though it only had like one main canon story, which was Skypiea. So that had its own original story, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, especially with Blackbeard and just seeing like all your friends getting taken over and then becoming like villains, but then obviously you bring them all back to normal. But with Pirate Warriors 4, I was kind of hoping it'd be, you know, Amazon Lily. I mean, they didn't even include my favourite pre-time skip arc, which was Impel Down. Like, I was quite surprised. Like, it's just weird how they've sort of like changed the direction, going from Alabaster to like Annie's Lobby to Sabayodi. I didn't even include Thriller Bar or any. Like, I know they showed like previous arcs before, like Alabaster itself, but I just don't get why they just didn't add them in, because I liked playing all the previous arcs. Like, I don't know, Bandai can be weird with things. It's why with Burning Blood, like, I enjoyed it because it was a fighters, but it was just Marineford. And like, if they do a Burning Blood 2, give us a lot more. Try and give more story as well, not just Marineford. Like, do the whole entire One Piece type. Like, if it takes a while to release this game, just do it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Bandai's just going through a bit of a weird phase, just like not including arcs. Or I know One Piece is a big series, like, but when you look at Storm, just like split it into like 4 games or something, then start off with some of the pre-time skip arcs. Do number 2, like do from like into like any lobby and all that. So I don't know, I just find it weird how they just are not really including like a lot of arcs, but you know, Bandai's Bandai, so yeah.
Yeah, I think the issue is with a lot of companies that get published by Bandai is that they get very rushed by the publisher, which is Bandai Namco, rather it be Japan or America. So I think it's not technically the company itself, it's more of their publisher, because we had played World Seeker, and I noticed that there was a lot of potential for World Seeker, but because I'm guessing the timing of they had to rush everything, is that not all of the development, but the improvements really went into the DLC characters. Like, if you play Law DLC, like campaign episode in World Seeker, that feels like what the full game should have been. But I'm betting on that, since Bandai are really strict with like release dates of video games, that they have to pump them out, you know, every year or 2 years or so. That's why we get a Dragon Ball Z game every year, so that way they don't lose their license, so they don't get the time to really flesh out mechanics or cutscenes or any new features that these game devs would like to, because of their publishers are just so strict about releasing it.
Yeah, no, I shouldn't really blame Bandai. I think it's because obviously they're the face that we usually see, but it's technically Koei Tecmo and that do everything with that sort of game. But yeah, no, maybe it's more directed at them. I mean, it's no hate on Koei Tecmo, because I do enjoy their games. As I said, I like Dynasty Warrior type games. But see, I actually enjoyed World Seeker. I know that also got a negative review, but I actually enjoyed it. Like, I don't see why there was so much hate on it. I mean, okay, things probably could have been done better, like not just having Luffy as like the only playable character. I know there was the DLC with Sabo and Law and all that, but it could have, like, I don't know, I think I'm just waiting for that sort of, you know how Kakarot is?
Yeah,
I want that type of One Piece game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll definitely delve into that for one of the topics that are listed for this video. But for this first one being Pirate Warriors, have you played or experienced the first and second game being on the PS3?
Yeah, I've had them all.
Oh,
so
that's perfect.
the first one was good. The second one obviously only had the main canon story of Eniru, so Skypiea, and then it did its own little story, which I thought was really, so I didn't enjoy that one. The third one I enjoyed because they did a lot of arcs that I thoroughly enjoyed, and then this one, so far from only what I've played, the characters are more focused more on the characters than they have the actual story. Not saying the story's bad, because I like the new loading screen, I like the way things are, going the way how they've done it, but I guess I just wish there was more story arcs personally, but what's got to be done's got to be done, so I can't really sort of argue with that.
Right. Now, what's interesting about the Pirate Warriors series is that when it came out, Pirate Warriors 1 came out September 21st, 2012 in the US, and the second one came out August 30th, 2013. So, about like a year from each other. But what's interesting about, the reason why I say it's so interesting is because these games came out on the PS3 when the most dominant console during 2012 and 2013 was the 360 for us in the US. So it was very hard for like the American audience to try to get this game when a lot of us had like Xbox 360s at the time. And I remember when the second game was about to come out, it was about 3 or 4 days away, and the Japanese PSN store actually dropped a Pirate Warriors 2 demo where you could play as Luffy or Law in Skypiea, which I thought was really cool. Really engaged. Like, it actually had like cutscene, like it's the prologue like for the second game, and I felt like that was such like an interesting time for not like just the Pirate Warrior series and like the PS3 as a whole, because not a lot of people had it, not only just from American standpoint, but because of the price range too, because it was a lot more expensive when it came to the PS3. And I felt like the first game was definitely different from a Musou game, because it has a lot of like platforming and like elements where it seems more like a platforming video game than a Musou game, weirdly enough. And then the second game is just a straight up Musou game with an original story. And what's cool, what makes them both different and unique, is that the first game is a platformer that follows up to Marineford, and the second game has its own original story when you team up with people like Law, Kuzan, Smoker, kind of like the bad guys of the series. So I like how they start everything from the ground up, and then from One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 to 4, they kind of just took those elements from the previous game and just slapped them in to save time for whatever else they wanted to do next.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like, if you used to say which one do you like the most, obviously, of course, I can't really rank 4 at the moment, right. But personally, I would say, I don't know, out of all of them, I actually probably say I enjoyed 2 the most. I think that was one I played the most. Like, I don't know, I just like the story of that one. I'd probably say 2, 3, 1 would probably say if I was to rank them. But, it's just my personal opinion. And I do agree with some of the stuff that you were actually saying. Like, but the only thing I do dislike is the fact I've had to see, like, well, Ace's death 3 times and near enough going to be a 4th time. They always have to include that in, don't they? Yeah, but it is such a major point to the arc.
Yeah, Pirate Warriors 3 and 4 both take cutscenes from the first game, like very much so. Like even Usopp versus Luffy is the exact same from those 2 games.
Yeah, do you know what? Actually, my only gripe that I do have with Usopp in that game is, what is up with the costume? I don't get it. Like, why does it look like he's wearing a farmer's like yellow t-shirt and overalls? Why can't they just stick him in his actual costume, just being the brown overalls? I don't get it. I don't know, maybe it just might be a little nitpick of mine, but they finally sorted Nami out. Don't get me wrong, I know Nami kind of sort of dress thing has always been like a sort of vest and a skirt, that's a sort of thing, we know that from the series, but they finally sorted that out for Pirate Warriors 4, giving her sort of her original costume. They just never sorted out Usopp.
Yeah, that is a weird choice of like clothing for Usopp. I'm not sure why they did that. That's very. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I definitely didn't notice that.
Yeah, so it's just been a peeve of mine. I don't know, maybe it's just because whenever you see any other games, it's not like you see Goku wearing like Vegeta's outfit for the whole entire game, or well, not really sort of Vegeta's outfit, that's really going too far, but like it's like taking Goku's orange suit and then making it like
red or
green.
Yeah,
red, green, or purple. It's like they'd be like, "What are you doing?" So
Right.
I don't know what Koei's guy just likes to have a funny because it is Usopp after all, but can't really complain. It's just a costume, but yeah, I think it's just a nitpick of mine.
I feel that. And to wrap up the Pirate Warriors timeline for this video, I wanted to kind of talk about the fourth game, not the fourth game. What am I talking about? The third game in the series, just because I have a lot of attachment to that for multiple reasons. Dressrosa for me started in high school, and Dressrosa ended for me in high school, so it was a pretty long arc. And when I got a chance to play Pirate Warriors 3, I actually got the Japanese version, and America didn't get it until a year, like a year after. Hold on, let me look at my show notes. One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 came out in 2015? No. Oh, it came out 2015 in Japan. In America, it came out 2016, so there is a year gap. So I got a chance to experience and play the game a year early before it got translated by Bandai. And while I do like some, I wouldn't even say I like the elements, I like the maps. Like Fishman Island was dope. Dressrosa I really like, and they added a boss fight for that. But I felt like the game dragged on way too long for them to get to the main arcing plot being Dressrosa. And I feel like once you reach the end of Pirate Warriors 3, you were kind of like burnt out since you've already experienced the previous arcs. And then not to mention when you do, I think it's called like adventure mode, when you have to go to different islands to unlock Shanks, and that's when you really cap off the game, where it's like I'm kind of burnt out of it. So I think for me, Pirate Warriors 3, it's I hate to call it a terrible game, but it kind of is in my opinion, just because for you to get to all the new stuff, you have to go to the previous arcs that you've kind of already experienced before. And if I had to rank each Pirate Warriors game from like 1 to however, the first one being Pirate Warriors 2 being my favorite, Pirate Warriors 1 being my second, the third one being the fourth game, which is the newest one, and the fifth one just being Pirate Warriors 3.
Yes, when I've actually played Pirate Warriors 4, I can probably do a ranking. I'll probably do that in my review of the game, like after I finish 4, and just get some nice cool gameplay of each character and just put it in, and then go from there, and then I can finally actually rank them in order of which one I actually like, from like least to the best.
Yes, yeah, and I will say for the I'm not sure about the Switch version, but for the PS4 version, there is no 4-player online co-op. I say that because Nintendo had like put out a trailer for Pirate Warriors 4, but that is not for PS4. It's only two players at a time for like story mode and whatever.
Yeah, I heard that there was an issue with the Switch. Like, I think I saw someone on Twitter that I follow. I think it's Arthur. He was saying that on the Switch, the cutscenes are very crap compared to like the actual console versions.
And yeah, and speaking of like Switch and Pirate Warriors 4, I remember seeing like a trailer of like boss fights between like online party members, and that's not in the game like at its time if it's released.
Oh yeah, mate. It probably will come eventually, because I know they've got the season pass, which has got characters involved like Katakuri. You can unlock him early. I'm not too sure on which of the other characters, but yeah, I actually remember seeing that. So yeah, it's a good thing you brought that up, because I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I was like, no, it was like, because it kind of felt like Monster Hunter. I was like, oh, we're like, you can get a team together and fight off like Kaido or Big Mom, and then like the game released. Like I thought like that was going to be a release thing, and then like I'm looking through the settings, I was like, oh, this is like an update type thing. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, probably. It probably will come eventually, so I think we just got to wait, really.
Yeah, so for the Pirate Warriors timeline, it's kind of been a thing where I've followed it since like high school being like your last year before you go on and get a job and stuff. So the reason why I put it as the first topic for the show notes is it's kind of been with me since like I said, the start of Dressrosa to the end of Dressrosa, and probably even before then. So it's interesting to see how far the series has come from going from a platformer to an original story with law, to it covering all the arcs from the third game, to now the fourth game being in Wano country with another original story, just some added canon content to it.
Yeah, that's fair enough, man. I mean, it's been with me since what, 20. I think I actually got the first Pirate Warriors game in 2014. Not the fact that I didn't actually own any One Piece games, because I did, but I just didn't really bother getting the Pirate Warriors games because I was just so undecided whether I wanted them or not. And that's coming from someone who's, you know, this One Piece is my favorite series of all time. So it's crazy, like, to think that I'd wait until, what was it? 2014 before picking up a Muso game.
Yeah, and to kind of cap it off too, like going back to the previous games, Pirate Warriors 2 came out when Film Z was just being released. Pirate Warriors 1, I believe, came out when Strong World was coming out, and for the third and fourth game. Fourth game we just got, or UK and other countries got the Kaido edition, and the third game we just kind of got like a Doflamingo figure. So just added some facts there.
Yeah, I remember that Doflamingo figure. I ended up getting the it was a Pirate Warriors 3 steel case to add. That was really nice. I think it's in I think it's somewhere. I mean, I've only got my PS4 game set up. I don't know where my PS3 ones are. They're somewhere. So yeah, but yeah, no, like, I wish I did pick up Pirate Warriors earlier, because then I found out how much fun they were. Like, just going around beating everybody up and just going through all the different arcs. So yeah, I kind of do regret, like, not picking it up till 2 years later. But then, to be fair, I was able to play Pirate Warriors 1, and then suddenly I was able to play Pirate Warriors 2. So it wasn't like a thing where I was like waiting. But then, lo and behold, I didn't really look into Pirate Warriors 2 and realised that it was actually its own story. But at the end of the day, I actually really liked it, and it's, funny enough, become my favourite one out of the technically 3 that I've fully completed, apart from the fourth one. As I said, the fourth one will have to wait until I've played it all the way through before I can make my decision. But currently, at this moment in time, Pirate Warriors 2 is at the top.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think we'll cap it off by saying, still to this day, Film Z Luffy with the stake in his back can still not be a playable costume unless you have the Switch version for the third game.
Fair enough.
I really like that outfit, and it's just like, oh, you can play as him on the Switch version, any other version, nah. So that's sad, but with Pirate Warriors out the way.
And now for the answer to the One Piece Secrets of the Seas trivia question. Who gave Luffy his lucky straw hat? Was it Usopp, Shanks, or Sonic?
The answer is Shanks!
Log on to 4kids.tv and enter your answer to open the One Piece treasure chest, where you'll find a bounty of exclusive One Piece downloadable goodies.
And remember, everyone is a winner!
Stay tuned for more of the One Piece Secrets of the Seas trivia challenge, all morning long.
So, you want to be a pirate? Well, in order to be a pirate, you have to act like a pirate.
Whatever, bro.
Maybe you should just watch One Piece instead. One Piece, Monday through Thursday at 10, starting next week on Cartoon Network.